Abby breathed heavily, inhaling the stale air of the closet before stepping inside. For a moment, she focused her eyes in the darkness, envisioning a different time, a different fate. As she opened up the closet door wider, a sliver of moonlight pierced the darkness, illuminating the rows of weapons. Her fingers curled around the metal surface before her eyes could adjust to the darkness. Not this one. Gleaming metal and dark wood lined the walls. Automatic rifles, bolt action, lever action, and a few semi-automatic rifles. Dusty boxes of ammunition sat beside them, their faded labels barely clinging to the cardboard. In the corner was an elephant gun. Among the assortment of handguns, her eyes landed on the familiar silhouette of her favorite, the Smith & Wesson. A melancholic sigh escaped her lips as memories started flooding back. Her 16th birthday, the glint in her Uncle Paul's eyes as he presented her with the gun, his gruff voice saying, "You can't have this till you turn 21. Each time they'd lined up the milk bottles on the fence, a playful competition turning into a silent promise, he'd repeat those words. Now, years later, the weight of that responsibility had morphed into a crushing burden. Abby's heart pounded a frantic rhythm against her ribs as she hefted the elephant gun. She felt hopeful and determined in equal measures. I hope it's powerful enough to get the job done. Hesitantly, she made her way back to the bedroom, the floorboards groaning beneath her steps. The room was cloaked in darkness, and the sound of her ragged breaths echoed in the stillness. With steady hands, she switched on the bedside lamp, plunging herself into an abyss that mirrored the turmoil within. She settled by the window, the cool night air seeping through the cracks. Her eyes scanned the familiar landscape, the dirt road, a spiderweb of shadows cast by the skeletal branches of the trees, but her vision was blurred by unshed tears. They weren't tears of fear, but of a grief that ran deep, a well of emotions constantly threatening to overflow. Each detail held a memory, a fragment of a life stolen too soon. Images of her family flickered in her mind. Her father's rambunctious laughter, her mother's gentle touch, her brother's mischievous antics, her uncle's unwavering support. Their faces, etched in her memory, fueled the fire burning within her. She wasn't sure how long she'd have to wait, but Abby was hell-bent on vengeance. "I'll get the job done once and for all." Ignoring the familiar ache, she squinted through the rifle sight, aiming for the dim, flickering bulb hanging precariously from the side of the barn. The darkness was thick and oppressive, swallowing everything whole. In the distance, a shadowy line of uncollected hay bales hunched against skeletal trees. Closer, the rhythmic snorts and stomps of restless horses echoed from within the barn, their silhouettes shifting against the faint glow emanating from a half-closed stall door. Beyond them, in the meadow, the faint outlines of cows grazed peacefully. Suddenly, her eyes caught a flicker of movement. She tightened her grip on the cold, unforgiving metal of the gun, her fingers digging into the grooves of the handle. Her palms grew clammy as she brought the weapon to her shoulder, aligning her eye with the scope. She could see it clearly through the narrow lens, standing proudly by the weathered barn, a solitary figure against the moon's silhouette. Just as Abby put her finger on the trigger, a bright light brought the creature into clearer focus. For a moment, their eyes locked. The werewolf's gaze seemed to pierce through her very soul. Then, with a slow, deliberate turn, it melted back into the shadows of the forest, leaving Abby alone with the echo of a silent challenge. The sudden intrusion of headlights shattered the night's stillness. Blazing light flooded the yard, and the sound of car doors slamming and her name being called jolted her back to reality. Placing the gun on the bed, she stood up, her body stiff with the weight of the night's events. As she walked out into the hall, she met Jack and Blake's gazes, her roommates. "Hey, guys," she said, and made her way down to the living room. A wry smile touched her lips. "You guys have the worst timing, you know that?" she said, her voice a mask for the turmoil within. The guys eyed her like a hawk as she walked between them.